Connor Bedard is a bad boy.
What's going on? It's your boy OviClapBomb here, coming with my first ever YouTube video. In this video, I just wanted to make something quick to go over my top 5 options for the Blackhawks for the upcoming entry draft. I think there's a lot of interesting prospects this year. I think there's a lot of different avenues the Hawks can go down, and I just wanted to show you guys where my head is at. So without further ado, let's hop into it. All right, so first up, we have Michael Misa from the Saginaw Spirit in the OHL. This is the guy who Blackhawks fans have had their eye on for the entire season. He's the reason that they wanted to finish last in the NHL, because they wanted to have the highest odds at getting Michael Misa. He's a dynamic player, high skill centerman, great hands, great hockey sense, big time goal scorer, great passer. And at 6'1", he's projecting like he could be a true top line center in the NHL. The thing with Misa is he's probably going first or second overall to the Islanders or San Jose. But on the off chance that one of those teams strays off the path that we think they're going to go, the Blackhawks would be the first to benefit, as Kyle Davidson would be sprinting up to that podium to select Misa. When looking at some things that scouts have said about Michael Misa, some of the names that come alongside him as comparables are shades of Nico Hischier, Macklin Celebrini, Jack Hughes, Taylor Hall, Tyler Seguin. So just a player I feel the Blackhawks really should prioritize. This is one of the few years I would say we should take a look at all the assets we've stockpiled and see if we can move up to guarantee our guy. I do think Misa is a step above any of the other forwards in this draft, and I really think that Davidson should be looking to try to move up or to try to make a deal to make sure that Michael Misa can end up as a Chicago Blackhawk. So without a doubt, my first choice for the 3rd overall selection for the Blackhawks goes to Michael Misa.
Unbelievable.
Next up on my board is James Haggins. And he's an interesting player to me because if you would have asked me like 2-3 months ago what I thought about him, I would have said there's no way I want James Haggins on the Blackhawks, that he's just another small forward that we already have a plethora of in our prospect pool. But things have changed as we've gotten closer to the draft itself. He's one of the more skilled players in this draft. He's 5'11", 180 pounds, so he's smaller on the centerman size, but he's not tiny by any means. And he had a good season in the NCAA. It's being overshadowed a little bit by the fact that Macklin Celebrini and Adam Fantilli had such great NCAA seasons. It's made James Haggins' season look a little underwhelming. But he still had a fantastic freshman season. He's one of the best skaters in the draft. He's a great playmaker, great hands. And to me, he's like, if he was 2 inches taller, I feel like there would be no question at all Kyle Davidson would be doing anything he could to draft this guy. The interesting thing with James Haggins, though, is he's a diehard Islanders fan. He was born in Long Island, and the Islanders have the 1st overall pick. And even though he's kind of projected in that 3 to 6 range, that local connection could maybe tempt the Islanders to either take him or maybe make a deal to switch. So James Haggins is an interesting player with some interesting variables going into the draft. When looking at what some scouts have said about him in terms of player comparables, the names that kind of came up are Logan Cooley, Will Smith, Jack Hughes. So, smaller centerman, but high skill and fantastic skater. And I think he's only going to go up from here. So my second choice for the Blackhawks at 3rd overall is James Haggins. Then we have Porter Martone, who played for the Brampton Steelheads in the OHL. He's a big-bodied winger, 6'3", 200 pounds, and he's something that the Blackhawks are really missing in their prospect pool, especially to pair with a smaller, high-skill guy like Connor Bedard. Martone finished with 98 points in 57 games. He showed off great vision and playmaking. and he's a great hockey sense. There's a lot to like with Porter Martone. He's a strong hockey sense, good puck protection, great playmaker. That being said, there are some concerns about his pace of play, and some people have said that his skating is a concern, but I think based off of some things that I've read, that it's probably just closer to league average and not something that you should actually really be concerned about. The thing with Martone is his player profile doesn't match what the Hawks value in prospects at all. Kyle Davidson and the scouting team really value skating and compete, and those are kind of the two gray areas with Martone. However, he fills a box that the Blackhawks don't have right now. We don't have that kind of player in our system right now because of how we've drafted those smaller forwards with high skill, high compete, like Frank Nazar, Oliver Moore, etc. I really like the idea of Porter Martone just locking him to Connor Bedard's hip and just having that big-bodied playmaking winger alongside number 98 for many, many years. When you're looking at some of the player comparables, names that pop up are Blake Wheeler, Corey Perry, Brady Tkachuk, Mikko Rantanen, I saw a few times. I don't know how legit that is, and Ryan Smith. But, you know, like that Blake Wheeler, prime Corey Perry kind of style is what you're getting with Porter Martone. Yeah, so I like Porter Martone. He's my third choice. I've bounced between him and Haggins a few times. They're kind of on par with each other to me, maybe slightly leaning Haggins. But with my third choice for the third pick, we're going Porter Martone. Next up on the list is Caleb Denoier, who plays for the Moncton Wildcats in the QMJHL. Caleb is an interesting player because he's the only player out of the top 5 who's still playing hockey at the moment. His team's had great success in the QMJHL playoffs, winning the entire thing, and Denoier took home the QMJHL playoff MVP. They are now slated to play in the Memorial Cup, and we'll see how they do there. Caleb is a 6'2", 180-pound centerman, so he's tall, but he's a little on the skinnier side. He put up 84 points, 56 games with 35 goals. He's got great hockey sense, and he's a great playmaker. He sees the ice really, really well, and he has a knack for finding the seam on passes you just think he shouldn't be able to. The thing with Caleb, like many other scouts, is trying to gauge the competition of the QMJHL. You know, anywhere you read, any scouting report you look at, there's always some mention of the level of competition in the QMJHL. And with that always in the back of my mind, it's hard to truly evaluate Caleb Denoier. When looking at some names that appear for player comparables, scouts have put his name alongside Philip Deneau, Shane Wright, Nicholas Waugh with more skill, and Jonathan Toews. And that last name, Jonathan Toews, Captain Clutch, Captain Serious, is the name that will probably garner the most interest from Blackhawks fans. Caleb definitely has some similarities to Jonathan Toews when it comes to being a big-time player and showing up when the going gets tough. So I think that player comparable is going to be enticing to a lot of Blackhawks fans. So with Denoier, I kind of put him in the same boat as Fondell, where I'm not 100% sure on either of them, and I would rather one of the first 3 names I talked about. But with number 4 on this list, we're going with Caleb Denoier. And last on the list, we have Anton Fondell, who played in the Allsvenskan, the Swedish second league. So for me, it's hard to evaluate because I'm not very dialed in on the European game. I find it hard to evaluate with the bigger sheet of ice. But I know for sure that he's playing alongside men and against men, which is a very great thing for his development. He put 25 points in 29 games, and he's a 6'1", 200-pound player. So he's a taller, stockier build. And he projects like he could be a really great second line center. The thing with Fondell is it's said that he has one of the higher floors in the ceiling or in the draft. And I think that is one of the reasons people are going to be enticed with him. The thing with Fondell for me is I've seen some polarization with scouting, with some people having him really high and some people having him really low. I've seen him as low as 12, and that kind of scares me. There is also some concerns that he's not even the real play driver on his line, as he plays alongside another draft eligible player, Victor Eklund. So for me, Fondell is just not the sexy pick, and he's just the least attractive option on my board. I do kind of put him hand to hand with Denoier. I think any of the first three names are the names I would be pretty excited about. And Denoier and Fondell are probably a tier below, but make no mistake, they still are great players. So number 5 on my list is going to be Anton Fondell. So to quickly recap, if the Blackhawks are to select at 3rd overall, the order I would like is Michael Misa, James Haggins, Porter Martone, Caleb Denoier, and then Anton Fondell. Who do you think the Blackhawks are going to take at 3rd overall, and who do you want the Blackhawks to take at 3rd overall? Let me know what you're thinking down in the comment section below, and as always, go Blackhawks.